If your company chooses to maintain perpetual inventory, SuccessWare makes it simple. The Inventory Manager in SuccessWare will allow you to look at each of your warehouses and view their current on-hand quantities. In SuccessWare, your main physical warehouse as well as individual truck stock can be maintained. Each individual warehouse maintains its own stock of items, which includes a description, a minimum and maximum quantity that you'll keep, as well as the current on-hand quantity. Selecting any warehouse will show you its current stock list. You also have the ability to search for individual items to find where they are in your current stock layout. Within the Inventory Manager, you have the ability to generate requisitions, returns, transfers, and adjustments, which would allow you to change your current quantity on hand or perform a physical count. The Transactions view within the Inventory Manager allows you to find completed and open inventory transactions, such as requisitions that haven't been finalized or transfers and adjustments that still need to be posted. Processing your inventory transactions is actually part of the job flow. If you've performed an installation and you've already requisitioned the items for the job in advance, then you'll be able to process the inventory transaction as part of your invoicing process. By opening up the invoice for the job, and in this case I've already completed the sale items, we can go into the Enter Cost screen, and using the Import Tag button, each of the items that have been requisitioned for the job are listed. Also, we see the GL account that they'll affect, as well as their cost value. We'll simply checkmark that we used each of the items on the job, click OK, and the items are imported as cost onto the invoice. If you hadn't used all the items, you'd be able to go into your Tag Manager and return items to a warehouse from here, or if everything's been used, we can simply update the invoice cost. The cost value of the items on the invoice will be updated to match the average cost of the items from inventory. For an installation, you may know which parts you're going to use in advance, but for a service job, oftentimes the parts used won't be known until the actual work is done. On a service job, we can generate the requisition for the items used directly from the accounts receivable invoice. In this case, we installed a new fan motor. We're going to go into the costing screens of the invoice. This flat rate task actually contained the particular motor as cost detail when we built the task. I also could have manually listed this part if necessary. I need to requisition this item off of my truck, and I'm going to do that using the Tag Manager button. The system notices that I have one of these fan motors listed on the invoice and therefore need to requisition one. I'm going to indicate that I want to perform the requisition, and we'll pull the item from our existing stock on truck number 1. That's it. I'm going to post the inventory transaction, and then again update my invoice cost so that the cost of materials reflects the actual average cost value of the item that we used from inventory stock. Restocking my warehouses couldn't be any easier. We have the ability in SuccessWare to restock our trucks, or main warehouse for that matter, using automated restock transfers. In this case, I'm going to use the transfer to move items from my main warehouse to truck 1 based upon the items that I used on this particular day. The automated restock transfer will allow me to restock based on usage. It'll also allow me to restock based on min-max values versus current on-hand quantity. We're going to choose on usage and select everything that was used from truck 1 on April 7th. And there's our fan motor. All we have to do is post the transaction and the quantities are transferred from one warehouse to the other. As a final checks and balance, we'll mark the item as received onto truck 1. Once you've done the restock of each of your individual vehicles, you may want to restock the main warehouse with the items that you removed. We're going to do this using our purchasing wizard from the Purchasing Manager. The Purchasing Wizard allows me to create restock purchase orders, again based upon either usage or min-max value. Here I'm going to build a purchase order for the main warehouse based upon usage from that warehouse on this particular date. We're going to identify the department that we're going to purchase for. In this case, administrative will actually departmentalize on use, and then create a description for the restock PO. Identify where we want the items to ship. And now SuccessWare automatically generates a list of every item that's been pulled out of this warehouse for the day. You'll notice that 2 different vendors are associated with these items. Therefore, we will be creating 2 separate purchase orders, one for the materials purchased from each specific vendor. The last step is to actually create the POs. When we return to our purchasing manager and refresh our open purchase orders view, we'll see that the new purchase orders that were just generated are now in the list waiting to be received. Restocking couldn't be any simpler.